Hello, my fellow gardeners. I'm so glad to see you today. I'm glad that you're here. Well, I'm out here this morning. I've been piddling around a little bit working in my garden, and I thought of 5 tips if I was starting a garden, or for a beginner that's starting a garden, that would really help someone out. Now, this garden here is over 40 years old, so this is a long-term garden that I've got here at my house. But it's evolved a little bit, and maybe to some people that wouldn't be a great thing, but to me it brings me great joy. And I wanted to share with you 5 tips to help you if you're thinking about starting gardens around your home. Now, I'm not in a HOA, I am in a development. We're on about 1/4 acre of land here, and it's not a lot of land, but it's chock full. Now, if you've watched Much Ado About Something, the home channel of my home channel, then you've probably saw my gardens, because I have a lot of garden content in that. It's lifestyle, which I'm Appalachian, budget-friendly home and garden over there, and here is just gardening. Now, I've got this bed right here. If you see the front of my door, there's a bed on the right and there's a bed on the left. The left bed is bigger, it extends out more. The right one is kind of divided by the sidewalk, you can see right there. I've got this back here, and then this whole garden right here, and the middle garden. And then there's a garden on the right of the driveway in the corner. We call that the right corner garden. And then there's one on the left corner garden. And this is a little patch where we used to have a tree. The tree became diseased. It was an ash tree, so that was taken down. And now we've got passion flower vines. There's one angel trumpet right here growing up in this area. So I'm either going to remove these or put a trellis here. But what this started out as was a cottage garden. And it's still a cottage garden. This is the right side garden. Not much blooming over here right now. There's a yellow rose bush that's here, and then there's this, what we call Rose of Sharon. How pretty is that? That's really pretty. These Rose of Sharon are easy to spread by roots, and they're easy to spread by seed. And I see there are some seeds here, so that would be good to give to friends. But right now, and it's at its end blooming stage. There's a few blooms that will be coming out, but this is over on the corner garden, which is closest to the road. And there's some little rose hips. That'd be great for vitamin C, for teas, and different things. I'll have to come out here and harvest these. But we've got the, if you stand back and look at the house as a whole, so there's a garden on the right hand corner. There's a garden on the left hand corner beside of the road. There's what we call the middle garden. This little piece where we took down a tree. And I wanted to share with you the garden layout that I have here in the front. Now, I have gardens on the side here, and then there's some in the back, but I'll save those for later. We'll get to the 5 tips that'll help you if you're planting your garden. Now, when we first moved here, there was nothing here. We had some bushes that were up under the eave, and they were huge and overgrown. So my husband took those bushes out. He got the garden hose out, and we laid out a garden here and around. And then the others evolved. The middle garden, we used to have a huge maple tree. We had it taken down, and then we had space for a garden there. And then on the ends, they just evolved out naturally. And so that's how this plan came about. The first tip is to step out away from your house. I'm at the street now looking at the gardens. Step out and make a plan of how you want your yard to look, how you want your space. Now, you may have a much bigger space for a garden than I have here for gardens, but I'm using what I have to the fullest. Take a piece of paper or get you a sketchbook or a notebook and use it as your garden planning book, and look at your house from the front and imagine where you would like a garden to be, and kind of space out those things. Now, you may not be able to put all gardens in at once. These gardens have evolved over time, and that may be how you plan to plan your gardens out at your house. But just kind of get an idea of what you want to see. And once you do that, you'll have a place to start, to add whatever you want to make your gardens what you want them to be. The first plan is just kind of, the first step is just kind of plan a garden that you want to see out on paper. And the second step is to plan what you want to border your flower gardens with. Now, we chose natural stone. This is natural stone from Family's Land, from the mountains where we grew up. And then some are from my dad's farm. I have some that are a different texture altogether and are from his farm. I would go pick them up. But there are beautiful stones in here, and those are an integral part of my garden. Now, you may choose pre-bought pavers. Right here where we have the house that's holding up quite a bit of soil, we have these pavers bought from, Lowe's, Home Depot, garden centers. They're just preformed pavers. So we do have some of those here on the back side of the garden. Since most of our stones were collected over time, this was a slow growing border. This is a much quicker border. You can just go plan how many you need and go buy them, and you can have this as trim around your garden. When our garden started out, we had treated lumber, and you can see it down here. But over the course of the years, it's it's just broke down, and it didn't last the whole time. So we're slowly replacing these with stones that we're gathering, and my husband will dig up the treated boards that were the garden surround, and will eventually lay the stone all the way down to the concrete. That's what it's like right here. But choose the most beautiful, long-lasting border that you can afford. And everybody's budget may be slightly different. Some of you may have no problem with cost, and then like we had to be on the budget, and we had to form our borders with what we could affordably obtain. Now, I love those rocks, and I prefer those rocks. That is the border that I prefer all the way around. If I could choose any kind of border, it would be the stone border that we have around our flower beds right now. Now, this is mid-August, nearing the end of August. So all of these gardens are at a really full peak, so you really can't get a picture of the borders. I'll try and film the borders in the fall, after we do the fall cleanup, and then you'll be able to get a really good visual of how these beautiful rock borders look. And that's the ones I prefer, but I do have a few other, as you see, because I've had to do it, you know, in increments. But pick out the border that you want. Once you plan out where you want your garden, if you're doing it all at once or if you're doing it in one section at a time, you can even have mixed borders. You know, maybe you have a rock garden here and maybe you want something else over here. You can mix your borders. But lay out your plan. Pick out what you want to border your flower gardens with. Start treating your soil as the third tip. Start getting your soil ready. Now when we moved here, there was nothing here. It was just a red clay yard, and it was nothing here. I'll try to insert a picture for you right here so you can see what it looked like when we moved in this house compared to how it looks now. Now, we just had to do everything affordably. But what we would do every year, twice a year, for the first 20 years that we moved here, is we would add mulch to all of our flower beds. We would go directly to the place, garden center up the road that sells mulch, and we would buy a truckload of mulch every year and amend the gardens that were here. So twice a year we did that. We did that in the spring before all the spring stuff popped up, and we would do it in the fall, and we did that for 20 years. Now mulch breaks down. We got the natural mulch, you know, from tree clippings that was sold at the garden center, not the most expensive mulch, and we added every year to these beds, the first ones that we started, and we added them to the ones, and that mulch would break down, and just now we have black soil. We have rich black soil that we can plant in, as opposed to the red mud, the red clay that was here when we bought the house. So the fourth tip is to amend your soil with what you can afford. Amend it with mulch. Whatever is available. At the time, this was the cheapest mulch that we could find. I think it was like $7 a scoop back in the day, and so a truck bed had about 5 scoops. So for about $35 we could get a load of mulch and add to our gardens twice a year. So figure out an affordable, a desirable type of mulch that you want in your garden to amend your soil, and add it to it at least twice a year until you get it to the position that you want to get it in. The condition of the soil that you want to have. And the fifth thing is choosing your plants. Choose the plants wisely. Now over the years I've made wrong choices. I've put in things that I wish I'd never planted. I put things where I wish I had never put them. And that's just living with a garden for a long time, that you learn these things. But choose your plants wisely. Research every plant that you want to put in your garden that you don't already know all about. Now it's a wonderful day and a time where you can research the plants and get all the information you need. Consider size. Now these Leland cypress over here were about 5 feet when we planted them. There's 2 of them there. They have gotten huge. And along with the size that they have grown has come changes, right? We planted them for privacy for that corner, and they have grown up and lost bottom limbs, as you can see right here. And so you can just see right through them now. They don't offer much privacy, but they offer a lot of shade, and they offer a lot of aesthetic value. So we still love those. They are a little dry. You can see the dry needles in there. But that's an example of how big something has gotten. And you have to know proper placement in your gardens, because those things can get huge. We had a huge maple here, and our water line is right on the other side. So that maple We were concerned it would interfere with our water line from the road to the house, and the limbs were continually dropping. The neighbor has a maple just like we had right here. You can see how huge that maple is. And we have a lot of storms and a lot of high wind storms that take down limbs. And we were concerned that eventually it was going to fall on our driveway and our cars. We don't have a garage. We park our cars in the driveway, and if that tree limbs had fell, they would have crashed into our cars. So the choice, my husband made the choice to take that tree down. He took the one in the back down for the same reason, and we hadn't ever regretted it. But what we did find when we took that tree here was that it shaded our door tremendously in the evening, and it kept a lot of sun off of the house. Well, once the tree was gone, we had to build this because the front door would get so hot it would burn your hands to open the front door. And so that tree had to come down. Now we've planted these climbing roses right here, which are absolutely beautiful. If I can find a shot, I will try to put a shot here so you can just see an example. They bloom red. They are old heirloom roses that we got from Jackson and Perkins. We ordered those when we first bought the house, so they're very, very old. Well, I've got them kind of pruned back severely this year, but those have been good choices. We had 4 across the front of the house. These 2 on the other side, you can barely see them because there's other things and it's more of a shaded area. These 2 on this side have done great and are invaluable to me. I love them every year. Some years are better than others, but this year was a beautiful, beautiful year for those roses. So pick out something that you think will be effective, valuable, and work in your garden for a long term. You know, don't just think about what will look good this year or this spring, but think about what will be beautiful for years to come. That's a way to get a lot of bang for your buck, and it's a lot of way to have a kind of a self-preserving garden. You're not having to change all the plants every year. So pick out really good plants that you love. A lot of people, hydrangeas are very, very popular right now. And just look at all of the seed catalogs, go in the home stores and look at the plants they offer and read the tags, research them, and think about what you'd like to have in your garden. So that's my 5th tip. Now I have enjoyed sharing with you my gardens today and the ideas that got them to where they are now. Now they're overgrown for the summer. They don't always look this rough. You know, there are different types of gardens. There are formal gardens, informal gardens, cottage gardens, wildflower gardens. I mean, there are just a multitude of a variety of gardens. I chose a cottage garden, and right now it's a wildflower garden because I haven't been able to get out here as much. We've had thunderstorms and triple-digit heat, so I hadn't been able to get out in it as much as I normally like to do. But I love it. I still love it. Even overgrown and at nearing the end of summer cleanup, I truly do enjoy the gardens. I get out here every day and enjoy them. Well, I'm gonna sign off of here, and I'll be putting out more videos here on this gardening channel. So I hope you join me. Like always, until next time.